Stop right there. If you're about to plant garlic the way everyone tells you to, you're setting yourself up for years of buying cloves at the store when you could be pulling up bulb after bulb for absolutely nothing. I made this mistake for 3 seasons straight, and it cost me more than just money. But here's the wild part. The solution is so stupidly simple that when I figured it out, I actually laughed at myself. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to turn 6 cloves into 60 bulbs, then 600, without spending another dime. And no, this isn't about composting or saving seeds. This is different. Hey there, garden friend. Welcome back to Serene Green Gardens. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new to our little corner of the gardening world, this is where we keep things real, practical, and most importantly, budget-friendly. No fancy equipment, no expensive amendments, just honest gardening that actually works. Today we're diving into garlic, and I promise you, what I'm about to share will change how you think about this incredible plant forever. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's grow something amazing together. Before we dig in, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly tips. We're building a community of gardeners who believe that growing your own food shouldn't drain your wallet, and I'd love for you to be part of it. Also, if you find today's tip helpful, drop a comment below and let me know what you're planning to plant this season. I read every single one, and your questions often inspire our next videos. Alright, let's talk about this massive garlic mistake that almost everyone makes. So here's what happened. 3 years ago, I planted garlic for the first time. I watched all the videos, read all the blogs, and did everything by the book. Plant in fall, harvest in summer, cure for 2 weeks, store in a cool, dry place. Check, check, check. I got a decent harvest, nothing spectacular, but enough to feel proud. Then, summer ended. Fall rolled around again, and you know what I did? I went to the farmer's market and bought more garlic to plant. Seems normal, right? That's what you're supposed to do. Second year, same thing. Planted in October, harvested in June, cured my bulbs, used them in the kitchen all year, then bought more seed garlic when planting season came back around. I was stuck in this cycle and didn't even realize it. I was literally growing garlic to eat garlic, then buying garlic to grow garlic. The loop made no sense, but I kept doing it because that's what everyone said to do. Then one afternoon, I was at my neighbor's place. This woman is 72 years old and has been gardening longer than I've been alive. She's the kind of person who grows tomatoes the size of softballs without even trying. We were talking about fall planting, and I mentioned I needed to hit the market to grab seed garlic. She looked at me like I just said something in another language. "Why would you buy garlic?" she asked. "You just harvested a whole bed of it." And that's when it hit me. The mistake wasn't in how I was planting garlic. It wasn't about soil depth or spacing or mulch. The mistake was thinking I needed to buy it at all. The garlic I was growing, the bulbs I was harvesting and eating, those were my seed garlic. I'd been treating my harvest like the finish line when it was actually the starting gun for the next race. Here's what nobody tells you clearly enough. Every single clove of garlic you harvest can become a full bulb next season. Not just the big ones, not just the perfect ones. Every clove is a potential plant. And here's where it gets really good. Let's say you plant 10 cloves this fall. If each one produces a bulb with 8 cloves, that's 80 cloves next summer. Plant all 80 the following fall, and you're looking at 640 cloves the year after that. This isn't some gardening fantasy. This is basic multiplication, and it works because garlic is one of the most reliable multipliers in the garden. But here's where people mess up, and this was my mistake too. We treat garlic like it's precious. We eat it all winter, use it in every recipe, share it with friends, and then when planting time comes, we've got nothing left. Or we've only got the sad little cloves we didn't want to eat, the runty ones at the center of the bulb that barely seem worth planting. So we go buy more, starting the expensive cycle all over again. The fix is almost too simple. When you harvest your garlic, before you do anything else, before you start meal planning or giving bulbs away, you set aside your seed stock for next year. And you don't just set aside a few bulbs. You set aside enough to double or triple your planting. If you grew 20 plants this year, save enough cloves to plant 40 or 60 next year. It feels excessive in the moment, especially when you're looking at all that beautiful garlic you could be eating. But this is how you break free from buying seed garlic forever. Let me paint you a picture of how this actually plays out. This past June, I harvested 96 bulbs of garlic. Big, beautiful, properly cured bulbs. My first instinct was to feel rich, like I'd hit the garlic jackpot. And I had. But instead of diving in and using them freely, I immediately pulled out 32 of the best bulbs and put them in a labeled box in my basement. Those were untouchable. Those were my seed stock for this fall, which meant I'd be tripling my garlic bed. The remaining 64 bulbs, those were fair game for cooking, sharing, whatever I wanted. Now, if you're starting to see how powerful this approach is, I need you to do something for me. Pause for just 2 seconds and smash that like button. It tells YouTube that this video is helping people, which means more gardeners get to see it. And honestly, if this tip saves you even $20 on seed garlic this year, that's worth a quick tap, right? Also, drop a comment below and tell me this. How many garlic plants are you planning to grow this season? I'm genuinely curious because I love seeing how our community is expanding their gardens. Alright, let's keep going because we're about to get into the exact method that makes this whole system foolproof. So you're probably wondering, okay, this sounds great in theory, but what's the actual process? How do I make sure I'm doing this right? Let me walk you through it step by step, and I promise this is not complicated. First, let's talk about harvest. When your garlic is ready to come up, usually when about half the leaves have turned brown, you pull it up carefully. Don't yank it. Don't damage the bulbs. Brush off the excess dirt and lay them out to cure in a shaded, well-ventilated spot. This could be a garage, a covered porch, or even under a tree. You want airflow, but not direct. Sunday, let them sit there for 2 to 3 weeks until the outer skins are papery and the roots are completely dry. Once they're cured, here's where the selection process begins. Look through your entire harvest and pick out the absolute best bulbs for seed stock. What makes a bulb ideal? Size matters, but it's not everything. You want bulbs that are firm, fully formed, and have nice tight cloves. Avoid any that feel soft, have gaps between cloves, or show any signs of disease or damage. The outer wrapper should be intact, and the bulb should feel heavy for its size. These are your champions, and they're going to produce your next generation of plants. How many should you set aside? That depends on your goals. If you want to maintain your current bed size, set aside the same number of cloves you planted last year. If you want to expand, and I really think you should, set aside double or triple. Remember, you're not just saving garlic to replant the same amount. You're building a system where garlic becomes something you never have to buy again, not for eating and not for planting. Store your seed garlic somewhere cool and dry, ideally between 50 and 60 degrees. A basement works great. A closet in an unheated room works too. Keep them in a box or mesh bag so air can circulate. Don't put them in the fridge because the cold can trigger them to sprout early, and definitely don't store them anywhere damp. You want them to stay dormant until you're ready to plant. When fall comes around, usually about 4 to 6 weeks before your first hard frost, you break apart your seed bulbs into individual cloves. Here's an important point that people overlook. Don't break them apart too early. If you separate the cloves weeks before planting, they dry out and lose vigor. Do it the day before or the day of planting. Just pop the bulbs apart gently, keeping the papery skin on each clove intact. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You don't have to plant every single clove. The biggest, fattest cloves from the outer ring of the bulb are going to give you the biggest bulbs next year. The smaller cloves from the center will still grow, but they'll produce smaller bulbs. So, what do you do with those small center cloves? You've got options. You can plant them closer together and harvest them as green garlic in spring. You can use them in the kitchen right away. Or, if you're really committed to expansion, you can plant them anyway and accept that they'll give you medium-sized bulbs, which is still free garlic. Plant each clove about 2 inches deep, pointy end up, spaced about 6 inches apart in rows that are about 8 inches apart. Cover them with soil, add a thick layer of mulch, and then you wait. All winter, those cloves are developing roots. Come spring, they'll send up green shoots. By early summer, you'll be pulling up bulbs again, and the whole cycle continues. Let's talk numbers, because this is where it really clicks. Say you buy a pound of seed garlic from a supplier. Depending on where you live, that's anywhere from $12 to $20. A pound gives you maybe 8 to 12 bulbs, which breaks down to somewhere between 50 and 80 cloves, depending on the variety. You plant those cloves, and if everything goes well, you harvest 50 to 80 bulbs the following summer. Now, most people stop there. They eat their harvest, maybe save a few bulbs, and then buy more seed garlic next fall. They're spending $12 to $20 every single year. Over 10 years, that's at least $120, and that's assuming prices don't go up, which they always do. But what if you flip the script? What if that first year you took half your harvest and designated it as seed stock? You'd plant it the next fall, double your bed, and harvest twice as much the following summer. Then you do it again. Set aside half, plant it, double your yield. Within 3 to 4 years, you're growing more garlic than you can possibly eat, and you haven't spent another cent on seed stock. Let me give you my real numbers. Year 1, I planted 60 cloves I bought from a local farm for $18. I harvested 55 bulbs because a few didn't make it. I set aside 20 bulbs for seed, which gave me about 140 cloves to plant that fall. Year 2, I harvested 120 bulbs. I set aside 40 for seed, giving me roughly 280 cloves for year 3. This past summer, year 3, I pulled up 260 bulbs from that planting. I set aside 80 for seed, and I still have 180 bulbs to eat, share, and preserve. Do you see what happened? I spent $18 once, 3 years ago. And now I have more garlic than my household can use, enough to give away to friends and family, and enough seed stock to plant over 500 cloves this fall if I wanted to. I'm not buying garlic at the grocery store. I'm not buying seed garlic in fall. I've completely exited the system, and it all started with changing one simple habit: treating my harvest as both food and seed. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, but what about diseases? Don't you need to buy fresh stock every few years to avoid problems? Fair question. In a perfect world, with unlimited budget, yes, rotating in new genetics every few years is ideal. But here's the truth. Most home gardeners, myself included, don't have disease issues with garlic if we're following basic good practices. That means rotating where you plant it, not putting garlic in the same bed year after year. It means avoiding overwatering. It means pulling up any plants that look sick and not saving those bulbs for seed. I've been replanting my own garlic for 3 years now, and every year the bulbs get bigger and healthier because I'm selecting the best ones to replant. That's basic seed saving. You're naturally improving your stock by choosing the strongest performers. If you ever do notice problems, weak growth, yellowing, bulbs that don't size up properly, then yeah, it might be time to bring in fresh genetics. But that's the exception, not the rule, and you'll know if it's happening. Another question people ask is about varieties. Can I do this with any garlic, or does it only work with certain types? You can do this with any garlic. Hardneck, softneck, doesn't matter. The biology is the same. Every clove wants to become a bulb. The only difference is that hardneck varieties tend to produce fewer but larger cloves per bulb, while softneck varieties produce more smaller cloves. Both multiply beautifully. I grow hardneck because I love the scapes you get in spring, which are a whole other bonus harvest, but softneck works just as well for this system. And then there's the question of space. What if I don't have room to keep expanding my garlic bed every year? Totally fair. At some point, you'll hit your limit. Maybe you've got a small yard, or you're gardening on a balcony, or you just don't need 500 bulbs of garlic. That's fine. Once you reach the amount you want to grow each year, you simply stop expanding. Save enough cloves to replant your bed at the same size, and use or share the rest. You're still not buying seed garlic. You're just maintaining instead of multiplying. Here's what I love most about this approach. It's not just about saving money, although that's a huge perk. It's about shifting your mindset from consumer to producer. Most of us have been conditioned to think that gardening is this ongoing expense. You buy seeds, buy plants, buy amendments, buy solutions to problems, buy. And sure, some of that is necessary, but garlic shows you that it doesn't have to be that way. When you save your own seed stock, you're stepping into a different relationship with your garden. You're closing the loop. You're becoming self-sufficient in a real, tangible way. And once you experience that with garlic, you start looking at other crops differently. Can I save these bean seeds? Can I let this lettuce bolt and collect seeds? Can I divide this perennial and expand it without buying more? The answer is usually yes, and it all starts with changing one habit. Garlic is honestly the perfect plant to begin this journey because it's so forgiving. You don't need to understand pollination or isolation distances or any of the complex stuff that comes with saving tomato or squash seeds. You literally just plant a clove, grow a bulb, and plant those cloves. There's no mystery, no special technique. It's as close to foolproof as gardening gets. And can we talk about the quality for a second? Grocery store garlic is often treated with sprout inhibitors so it doesn't start growing on the shelf. It's also usually grown in massive monoculture operations with synthetic inputs. When you grow your own and save your own, you know exactly what went into that soil. You know, it wasn't sprayed with weird chemicals. You know it's fresh. And over time, your garlic actually adapts to your specific growing conditions, your soil, your climate, making it even more resilient and productive. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you something. Has this video changed how you think about growing garlic? If it has, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We post a new video every single week with tips just like this, all focused on helping you garden smarter, not harder, and definitely not more expensively. And if you've got friends or family who are into gardening, share this video with them. Let's spread the word that you don't have to keep spending money on something you can easily grow yourself. So, there it is. The #1 garlic planting mistake is not saving your own seed stock and staying stuck in the cycle of buying every single year. The solution is simple. Harvest your garlic, immediately set aside the best bulbs for replanting, store them properly, and plant them when fall comes around. Do that, and you'll never buy seed garlic again. You'll have more garlic than you know what to do with, and you'll have proven to yourself that growing your own food doesn't have to be expensive. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you got value from this video, do me a favor and leave a comment below. Tell me what your biggest gardening challenge is right now. I read every comment, and your questions help shape what we talk about next. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Serene Green Gardens if you haven't already. We're building something really special here, and I'd love for you to be part of it. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, the best gardens are the ones that don't break the bank. I'll see you in the next video. Happy planting.